is a call to action. This is a call to adventure. This is a call to something that you may have really wanted to know for a long time. Maybe you already know a lot about it, or maybe you don't know that you want to know about it. But this is an astrology channel for learning astrology. Why? It's truly a revolution. It's a rebellion. Call to Adventure. This is from Joseph Campbell's book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, page 43. The familiar life horizon has been outgrown. The old concepts, ideals, and emotional patterns no longer fit. The time for passing of threshold is at hand. This is it. This is the threshold. We are ready to move forward. There are so many things going on in this world right now where astrology is going to be so critical to understand for a foundational reality check when everything else is going to be like, what the hell is real? What is going on?
Can a robot write a symphony?
Fork do a twirl, noodles on a mission, landed in my mouth like a first class ticket.
And when the future feels this uncertain, we have to find a foundation or a reference point that we can use, because a lot of the other ones are stopping to work. They will not work anymore. The ones that we've relied upon, the things that were solid, rock solid, they no longer are going to be fitting that in the future. So with times like these, the mind has to look for something solid to stand on. And these are things that are timeless, that are beyond the range of human manipulation and control attempts. And that is the revolution that I'm talking about, why astrology is so critical. What we're doing here in this initiation is to understand what astrology is, why this is the right time to be doing it, how to learn it, and who to learn it from. So these will be 4 different small videos. We're going to start off with why astrology. Why? What's the point? The planets are the great timekeepers. And we're going to be going into all of the things that planets and signs and aspects and houses, what they all actually are. We're going to explain everything very clearly. But right now, just to consider what the planets actually are, they are timekeepers. They tell the story of the archetypes, the patterns, the possibilities of what's going on. And getting to know them yourself, not waiting for anybody else to tell you what things mean, puts you in an advantage to understand what's happening with a bigger picture, with a broader perspective. And knowing yourself is really where we're going to start off. That's the most important thing. Because once we do that, that's like step 1. Then step 2 is understanding other people, and that other people have their own charts, their own realities. We're each our own little solar system, okay? And the third level is understanding what's going on in the world. What is the process and what is happening? The whole point of astrology is to get into something epic. It really is. It's a different way of framing reality from a broader viewpoint that is consistent. It's been a time, like forever, it's been going on. We've been watching the stars since the beginning of humanity, since the first consciousness, where we've looked up and said, well, what is that? What are these things that are out there? And this expanded perspective is something we can get through astrology, which we will not be getting from the other places where information is coming from. So this is something that helps us regulate internally, and seeing things from a broader perspective can help us create situations where we have less uncertainty, less doubt, where understanding comes from all things shall pass, all things are temporary, the good and the bad. And we can learn this in the timeless frame and the wisdom that astrology creates for us. So it's a way of flowing with the river rather than fighting against the powerful currents. This is a reframe. This is a revolution about knowing astrology to help us see what's happening and not react emotionally to the reality of what's going on in the world. And knowing that we don't have a lot of control over big things like politics or equality or other people's behaviors, we now can see, when we start from level 1, understanding our own chart, that we have something more powerful than that. We have authority over ourselves. We can refuse to be emotionally manipulated or blackmailed. We can reach to something that's higher, into this purpose of what this chart is trying to tell us. It's like a user manual that each person gets. It does not repeat for 26,000 years, and even still, I do not think it does, because we're moving through, not only the solar system is moving through the galaxy, but the galaxy is moving through different, whatever. It's huge, universal things. But the macrocosm and the microcosm, they all reflect each other. Now, we do not have control over the macrocosm of these things either, but it starts with us. And the idea of of cultivating a human garden. You learn to grow. How do we learn to grow? By making mistakes, by taking risks, by being okay with not knowing everything, to keep trying even when we fall down. And eventually we'll start to understand our garden, okay? Some gardens are going to be succulent gardens, and some are deserts, and some are tropical, and some are perfectly organized, English gardens, and some are wild and free, okay? We all have different gardens, and that is part of this process of understanding what kind of garden you even have. And through example of this, attending to our own personal garden, to accepting it, and seeing, there's going to be weeds in every garden, even in a desert, there's a kind of weed that grows, that we're going to start understanding that garden, and it will start thriving. And when you can do that, other people want to be part of it. They want to have a garden that's healthy like yours. And that is an influence in this greater cosmic collective that we're part of. And through example, we can have excess in our garden. We can have something that overflows with abundance, with serenity. And that flows out into the world. It is so important that your energy is as best as it can be, especially in these potential difficult times that we're coming into, where there's change. It's just a change. And that's where we're here at this particular time of change, because we've chosen to be here. And that means that we can choose to go forward with a broader perspective and not being in a place of disability, but ability. What happens then when you know something, when your garden is good? There's a release from anxiety, the fear of judgment, from comparison agony. Like, it's okay that somebody is different than you and has a different perspective than you. You start seeing how beautiful you really are, your beautiful incarnation. It's the one and only you that will ever exist on this material realm. And it's your job, it's my job, it's our job to learn through this incarnation, the hand of fate that's been dealt. And then within that, we're overcoming these false limiting beliefs, because that was not ever true. It's not true. When we compare ourselves to other people and don't really know who we are, then that's when all these other issues come along, and it creates a very insecure foundation. Most of all, we need to understand through astrology that your individuation is the most powerful gift that you have. You, just as you are, as you were created, have the potentiality for greatness. The greatest potential that you have inside of you is marked in your chart. And knowing yourself, knowing your code, it breaks open the reality and allows us to ascend and break the bonds, the hamster wheel of karma that limits us, so we can ascend to the best potential of this particular incarnation, not by anybody else's measure, but our own, by your chart, by your map, by the cards that you were dealt. And that's part of fate. It just is. It's just true. There is fate. But all things have two sides, and fate also has the counterpart of free will, which means we have the ability to choose. We have the ability to choose within this fate the parts of us, the creativity within the field that sets the structure. And that's where it gets exciting. How you're going to learn astrology here is from the ground up. We're going to build it in a very logical sequence, layering the parts one by one until it becomes inevitable. And it's just going to take some time. But the structure that I have, the pedagogy and the science-based way of learning, the way that the brain works, is based on Barbara Oakley. She's a PhD from UCSD. I took a class with her about learning how to learn. And so there's all these structures that our brain is designed to hold pictures and story and places. Like, that's the way that we are naturally created. So the way I'm going to teach you astrology is by utilizing the way the brain is designed. And it's going to become a way that is going to be inevitably clear if you continue with it. Now, you're going to have to put some effort in. There's no doubt about it. But this will be fun. This will be fun, I guarantee you, because I cannot stand boring. And if it's boring for me, I know it's going to be boring for you. So I'm going to do my best to make it the most interesting, the most aligned with how your brain works, and to keep the information there. So when you start understanding astrology, eventually, you're going to see it everywhere. And it'll be almost like an inside joke. There's so many times in my life where I have had experience where I would have in the past reacted emotionally or confused or not knowing what somebody is trying to do to me or say to me, and then you come into these insecurities, right? And when I know astrology is there, it gives me a framework where I'm like, oh, that's this energy, and I can step back from my emotions and then categorize it and see how it's just actually part of this code that's running, and that all things are multivalent, multi-purpose, and there's a much grander plan than my own short-sightedness as a human. For now, I just want you to start feeling that call, that departure is happening. We're moving towards some adventure, and knowing this is like a key. It's a key to the future. To bookend it, we're going to add one more quote from Joseph Campbell at the end of this chapter of departure. The first stage of the mythical journey, which we have designated the call to adventure, signifies that destiny has summoned the hero and transferred his spiritual center of gravity from within the pale of his society to a zone unknown. This zone unknown, though, has a really good map. A really good map. Astrology has always existed. The patterns have always existed. What changes is how we're going to learn about it and how we're going to feel supported by it. And there's a reason that this call feels present now. In the next video, we're going to look at why this is the best time ever, potentially in human history, to learn astrology. So you are in the right place. Oh, I should probably tell you my name. My name is Lindsay Natale. So I don't say that very often because, I feel like I'm just talking straight to somebody I already know. You're my friend. We are learning astrology together, and I'm so happy to be here with you. It's a great feeling to be learning together. Okay, I'll talk to you next time.